world. It was a beautiful morning, and today I drove through an area here on this island to get to my job. And 10 years ago, it was like completely natural. So there's some, you know, adjustments, like some adapting going on with birds. And I ended up seeing a raven. It's only like a 10-minute drive from my house, but I ended up seeing this raven that like stopped and like looked straight at my car, and it had something in its mouth. And I don't know, there was a vibe. Like, I think it was very big, and I think it was looking for some family or something to eat with, and it was just really beautiful. And then I saw a heron, and then I saw a goose flying parallel with the heron, and it was like, it was just such a moment, like such an energy to like have come through right in the morning, and now it's sunny. And like, I feel like sometimes birds do a beautiful job of lifting us, lifting our mental state. I think there's a place for me, and I think I'm feeling this for like many people, but I think there's a place for me that I've been very often, and just like holding space for myself in this place that is kind of numb, and like I don't really feel a lot, when I'm just shutting all these things out. And I don't know what it was about today, but after seeing those birds and like arriving at work, in like this whole side of the house that I work in is just like facing still nature, and nature is still standing like so glorious. And I it just really moved some stuff around for me. And I think there's some major stuff moving around, and that I don't know how easy it is for people to invite that or to welcome it, but I know for me it's like, I feel like in a way we kind of subconsciously make it happen, and on a level of like collective in this world, we're all kind of moving things around. And some of the things that we experience, we create and we cause, I think, especially as a collective. But I think a lot of it is nature, and I think a lot of it is nature's response to what we're doing. And I know a lot of people would just say, like, just live your life, be happy, like, you can't change what's happening out there. It's meant to be that way. And I totally agree with that. Some flowers are going to wilt and dry out and fall, and some are going to stand all summer long, right? But that, it's not validation for what's happening out there, right? To nature, to people, to humans. And I still have like a major space that I feel is specifically like for empathy, and I like to keep that space protected. I like to keep my compassion and like my healing energy, that I'm blessed with, in a place that's, not for, it's not for just wasting, you know what I mean? It's very sacred energy. And sometimes people heal just by moving on, which I think is great. And sometimes people heal by experiencing, very raw emotions. And I think it all needs to be allowed to happen. It all needs to have a place in this world, and it does. But there's still stigma, I think. And honestly, birds are very adaptable. Animals, creatures, nature, trees, it's all very adaptable. And I think we are as well. And I'm just feeling like something is shifting and coming through on, a very human level that I think a lot of people are going to be able to feel. I think everyone is actually gonna feel it in a really gentle way, but also like in the long term, really strong, And I think it needs to reach the people out there that are still still just surviving and not living. I think those people are really, really essential to our world and to our future. And I don't know, for myself, I've been doing a lot of inner child work for the last 20 years in this career. Really connected to families. I support people that do a lot of hard work, and it's a beautiful exchange. And I think that kind of exchange is going to happen more often without the requirement to be, at a certain level financially or status wise, like a rank, that has been created by humans. I think nature is going to lift people and, and their voices. And, you know, I'm saying, a lot today. You know what I mean? I think, it takes me a lot to reach a certain level where I'm very, very moved. I'm not like constantly depressed, but this place that I was lifted from is definitely a place of depression. It's just more of like a numb depression. And it was sort of an agreement with myself coming into this world that I would sort of just shut that part of myself off because, there was people in my life that were supposed to be in my life even now, but, by free will, we don't have to continue relationships with people, I guess. And there was like just this unspoken agreement that me and this entire side of my reality that I was related to would just not have anything to do with each other. And, maybe that came to an end today and like I just felt things. But there are days where it could just be a commercial, and it could just be like a billboard or like seeing birds flying in the sky. And I reach that place, and I think that's relationship with self. That is like building up with self. That's listening to yourself, right? Listening to yourself speak in all the different languages that yourself can speak through body, through mind, through meditation, through heart, through prayer, through nature, through YouTube, through social media, through self-expression, music. And I had a lot of it today, and that's, part of being able to do what I do. And I wish more people could get there, and I know they could, but I think there's going to be a shift through nature. Yesterday there was this really big storm and it was knocking everything around and it ruined like my prefab like 1970s table that I loved so much, and I was like, whatever, oh well, it's so cool and I'll just like glue it. But it was like really nature pushing. Like it really felt like it was emotional, and it was like not just here, but it felt like I've been reading a book about the winds. Like I've been reading this book on the side of a huge novel I'm reading. It's this little book, and it's more about like seasons and like directions and wind and elements. And I took a little break from it, but like I've been meditating on what I read last, and what I read last about was a lot to do with the winds. And then in the book that I'm reading, my main book that I'm reading, that's like thick and has taken me a really long time, 2 nights ago when I had some time to read, it was talking about like this woman who's having this vision in this book sees like this guide, and the guide is sharing with her how the winds affect the world, and how like the east wind is like a certain way and the west wind brings certain things, and the north wind is like very, very crisp and cool and like dry, and like the south wind is very humid. And it was just amazing that in time over the last few days, it wasn't just like the cycles of the days and the moon and the sun and like nature, but it was also like the cycles of thought, and on like a very universal level, not just with humans and this planet, but like everything. The planets talk to each other, and the planets have their own psychology and their own sense of time and their own emotional expression, and so there's just so much going on. It's so like it's so good to be lifted. It just feels so good to be lifted from that base level kind of like numb, depressive state. And it means a lot. Like, I don't think I've ever really been lifted that way. I can feel it in my gut, and I can feel it like in my soul, and I can feel it like in connection with the center of the planet and like everyone, like all of humanity, and it feels safe. Like, it actually feels like I'm a little tired, I'm a little tired getting here, and just sort of like I could lay down in my car right now and just take a little cat nap. And that's what I'm feeling for a mass collective. Like, I feel like there's a connection here between all beings, all beings, all beings great and small. And I'm just welcoming that healing energy and that guidance in this place of some things are hard to face, like some fears are hard to face because we never did face them, and we always just face them subconsciously, sort of like, oh yeah, that's there. I know that, it'll just go away. Like, I already moved on. But sometimes facing our fears, like, boldly, go where no man has gone before, like facing them, even in places where you're like maybe feeling ecstatic and happy, like, it can be a little scary because you don't want to come down from like that place, like, like how I feel right now, really lifted by these like birds and just by this whole like avian feeling. I think that's the best time to face them. That's the best time to get help, when you feel like you're doing really well and when you feel like you're really supported and safe and like happy. I feel like that's the time that therapy is the most useful, because you then learn how to sustain yourself and like care for yourself in that state, which honestly I think has been one of my biggest fears. One of my biggest fears has been facing my clients. It's the weirdest thing in the world, but like facing my clients that are usually never home is like, I get very nervous and I get like really anxious. And today I was going to have to do that, and I thought that I was going to do like a really bad job at my job, but I actually like did all my breaks right on time and left 1 minute after I was intending to leave. And I actually got there early today too, so I actually did extra stuff. And it wasn't so hard after all, I think being lifted this morning on the way to work was my opportunity, So maybe this, like, humanity, maybe this collective, maybe this reality, this place here that we're all here in together, maybe there's going to be a shift where it'll be an opportunity for people to face things that they've never faced from like early on. I think those are the most tender years. Those are the most important years, If things happen that are like make things so hard, like I can't imagine not working, right now and providing for my family. I can't imagine not being able to talk right now, like I've been there and it's happened, but I've survived it, and I think like it's getting harder. People entering into like zones like that is getting harder and more difficult to navigate. And we need this shift. We need people to be lifted enough that they can face the fears of whatever it is that they haven't adapted to or learned how to deal with, right? And it's like there's different responses. There's trauma responses. There's responses like joy and happiness and excitement, and then there's both sides, right? And I just really feel that shift. And so if you, in the next hour, few days, few weeks, what chapter that you might experience, if you see or feel that shift, consider it an opportunity to go deeper and face darker, parts of your life, shadows, things that you never faced, or things that you never thought you were going to have to. And just know that you're safe, and know that there are things that you might not see that are sustaining you and holding you and suspending you in a place of joy again, or for the first time. Like maybe you've never felt happiness or felt joy. And that whatever your vision is, whatever your dreams are, whatever your hope is, whatever you're inspired by, or even if it's just that you want to change something in your life and fix it, that's totally valid too. You don't have to want your life to be crazy and crappy and dysfunctional. But maybe you want to accept things the way that they are, and I know that's really hard. But I think this shift, this storm, this after effect in this moment right now, I think is for everyone. And I feel it coming on slowly and gently, but with great strength. So, yeah. And if you find that you are watching a commercial or, a YouTube video of like somebody dancing on America's Got Talent, or like a moment of Olympics, or even just like somebody holding a cat, I don't know, like, and you cry and like you experience very, very high levels of like tears and sensitivity emotionally, know that that is confirmation that you are reaching these levels, and that you are allowing the universe to reach you and help you. And that's not easy. And yeah, when you feel things and when you experience your most human form of yourself, and the powers that are there to guide you, that's when change is like the best. That's when it's not always about achieving things. Sometimes it's just about accepting help. That's when I think is the best time. Might not be like when everything is going right, but it could just be in this one little moment that happens. Yeah. Okay, well, thanks for being here, and I hope you guys find a groove in the day that you guys feel like you can chill and relax to. And I wish you all so much love, and whatever you're thinking about right now, and whatever you're doing, and wherever you're sitting, and wherever you are listening, or feeling, or seeing, know that you are so loved, and that you are found. Okay, love you.